If we want to figure out where we're headed, we've got to take a hard look at the year that basically changed everything, 2025. It wasn't just another year on the calendar. It was a fundamental rewiring of our entire global system. So, in this explainer, we're going to debrief exactly what went down and, more importantly, what it means for you.
It really all boils down to this one powerful idea. For decades, a lot of leaders, a lot of businesses could get away with treating global politics as something distant, happening over there. Well, 2025 was the year that assumption officially died. What was once just background noise is now the main signal, and it's affecting every single decision. The real question is, are you listening? So, to even make sense of this new world, we need a new way of thinking about it. Let's call it the geopolitical operating system. Think about the OS on your computer or your phone. It's not just another app you can open or close, right? It's the fundamental layer that everything else, literally everything else, runs on top of. That's what geopolitics has become. It's the framework of risk and reality that your business plan, your investments, your entire strategy is built on. You can't ignore it because you're already running on it.
Okay, I know that's a huge concept, so let's not just talk theory. Let's get into the evidence. What were the hard truths from 2025 that prove this new operating system is here to stay? These are the moments that really rewired our world.
First up, and this one's pretty sobering, major conflicts didn't actually end. They normalized. The wars in Ukraine and Gaza and all the spillover across the Middle East, they didn't get resolved. Instead, they just became these persistent, ongoing parts of the global environment. And what that did was create this constant hum of instability that every leader, every market had to start pricing into their plans. Second, the world really started to fracture into these more defined, more competitive camps. You've heard the term decoupling between the US and China, right? Well, that process, the untangling of their economies and supply chains, it hit the accelerator hard. And this wasn't just political speeches. You could see it in technology, in trade, in diplomacy. The lines between these new power blocks got a lot sharper and a whole lot harder to cross.
And well, that leads us right to our third point. We basically witnessed the end of an era where we all just assumed open commerce was a good thing. Instead, trade itself became one of the main weapons of state power. We saw it everywhere: strategic tariffs, very targeted sanctions, and this huge rise in what people call supply chain nationalism. That's the big push to control critical resources and production right here at home.
And believe me, the list just keeps going. This slide here shows just how deep these changes went. Let's just touch on them real quick. Taiwan, yeah, it was still the single most dangerous flashpoint on the planet. The nations of the global south, they stopped waiting for an invitation and really started using their collective weight to push for their own interests. Climate stress went from being an environmental issue to a core national security problem. And tech, things like AI and semiconductors, they stopped being just commercial products. They became vital strategic assets, as crucial to a nation's power as its military. So look, when you stack all this evidence up, it points to one single, unavoidable conclusion. It is the end of what we used to think of as normal. And that means a lot of the core assumptions that have guided business strategy for years, they're not just out of date anymore, they are actively dangerous. Let's break down 3 of the biggest ones you have to throw out right now. This slide here just lays it all out, plain and simple. The old playbook assumed stability was the default setting. The new reality? Volatility is constant. It's the new normal. We used to think of risk as regional, something you could contain over there. Now we know risk is global, and everything is connected. And finally, that old idea that you could build a strategy on just pure optimism, that's over. In this new operating system, realism isn't just a good idea, it's a basic requirement for survival. All right, let's bring this all home. What does this new reality actually mean for you? If you're a leader, a founder, a decision maker looking ahead to 2026, this isn't just some interesting analysis to think about. It is a strategic mandate. It is a very clear call to action. And here it is, this single most important takeaway from this entire debrief. It's blunt, but it has to be. If geopolitics, if this new operating system we've been talking about isn't a core part of your strategic thinking, you're not just unprepared for the future, you are already behind. So I'm going to leave you with this question. I want you to take a really hard look at your plans, your assumptions, your team. Given the realities of the world we've just walked through, is your strategy truly ready for what's coming next? Is it built for the world as it is, not as you wish it would be? Because in 2026, the gap between those two things, well, that could be the difference between success and failure. If we want to figure out where we're headed, we've